Hi, my name is Nima Bayati. I'm the Executive Director and General Manager of Lenovo's ThinkShield portfolio. I'm joined today with Kenneth Peterson. Ken is the CEO of Churchill Harriman. Recently, Lenovo's partnered with Churchill Harriman to provide security risk assessments to our SMB and commercial customers. Ken, can you tell us a little bit about Churchill and Harriman and the importance of security risk assessments, especially with things like AI and the new EU AI Act and all of the different threat vectors that we're now seeing from a security standpoint?
Sure, Nima, I'd be happy to. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here with you today and to enjoy the partnership that Churchill and Harriman has with Lenovo. Um, C&H provides clients with 28 years of progressive experience in serving organizations that operate critical infrastructure. Why is that important? It's important because at the deepest levels of government and industry, we are entrusted to develop from the beginning the criteria and tests upon which they will be assessed, and then determine the standard of care that those risk assessments are going to be conducted at, because that will drive the outputs of that assessment, which are then shared with relevant stakeholders, both internal and external, whether it's internal audit, compliance, legal from an internal point of view, and externally with one's regulators, one's customers, and one's prospects.
Understood. And now, Ken, these risk assessments, when you think about bringing in somebody externally like a Churchill and Harriman to do something like this, one naturally sometimes thinks of, all right, these things are only really applicable to some of the largest organizations within the world, right? Really for a Fortune 50 company. But that's really not the case, is it?
No, it's really not the case. In fact, Nima, whether you are a one-person shop up to the largest enterprises, in order to conduct commerce in this day and age, or in order to thrive as a public entity, you have to know what your risk posture is. And in order to understand formally what your risk posture is, you must conduct a risk assessment based on best practice. It's simply a matter of the depth and breadth of the assessment objectives.
Understood, understood. And something like this, you mentioned that it's applicable for, the largest organizations in the world, all the way down to a small organization. Today, everybody, as we know, everybody's got a digital footprint. Everything is interconnected, as we've seen. Just pull up any news website or take a look at the day's headlines, and we all get a view of what's going on in the world. What does something like this look like from a tangible standpoint? Again, I mean, is it something that takes a day, something that takes a month, or is it kind of vary depending on the profile of the organization and what they're looking for?
Well, to your last point there, Nima, it absolutely depends upon the profile of the client and what the client's objectives are for the assessment, and most importantly, the outputs of that assessment. So in the case of a healthcare organization, for example, they're going to have a lot of compliance requirements, right? In the case of an FI, they may have heavier security and compliance requirements that they need to address. A public entity is going to have their own requirements. So this could take either a half a day, or it could take the better part of a year, again, depending upon what the objectives for the assessment are and what the outputs of that assessments are as well.
Understood, understood. Okay, so it really does sound like that it is really tailored, but at the same time, that is something that's able to be done in a super agile way, taken into account the relevant inputs from the organization, the relevant inputs from the overall macro space that organization's working or operating in rather. And one of the things that I'd say, that I'm most excited about with this partnership that we have, of course, is that not only are we able to jointly provide this now new offering to enterprise and SMB customers, obviously, of course, done and delivered through Churchill and Harriman, but it fits really, really nicely within the rest of our ThinkShield portfolio because, of course, coming out of these assessments is a number of things to, one may need to go and further investigate, one may need to go further dig into. But again, our portfolio of security solutions that we have makes a good marriage there between what you're doing from a CNH standpoint and what we're doing. So very excited to have this tie up between Lenovo's ThinkShield portfolio and CNH. So with that said, I want to thank you again, for really briefly jumping on, Ken, and having this quick discussion with me, and look forward to going out and providing these types of value-added services to organizations. Thank you.
Thank you, Nima. It's our privilege to serve.
Thank you.